Hi, Jeff Morgan from Recognitions, Awards, and More, home of Morgan House Wood Projects. We are finishing up this series on shadow box setups. This is a three-part series. This will be the third installment of it. The first one, we covered the tools that you would need for doing a setup. The second one was the prep for the items going into the shadow box, along with an initial setup. And this third one will be the gluing down of all the items and then the cleanup before you button up the shadow box. So without further ado, we'll get into this.
All right, so now I've got everything flipped over. I've got all my patches where I need them to be. I've given it kind of a once over, making sure everything lined up before, with the glass cutout areas. So next, we'll go in, open it up there. And now you can see how everything's laid out. Now these obviously, we have these lined up here, where we haven't glued anything down yet. So what I will show you is I had those little pieces, little spacers. So that's what I'm using these for here. It's just like that, so I can tell these are right up against there, so they'll all be even. Now if this one here is a little smaller, we'll set that off just a little bit so it's a nice linear row of them. Now the same on the ranks on the other side. We're going to have just the bottom corner of each one of these touching as it goes down. Like so. So now that we have good placement for everything, we can start the process of gluing down. Now, I had also talked earlier in the first episode of the adhesive that we use. It's a Dow 732 RTV. It's a clear silicone adhesive. I find that this stuff works the best out of everything. The tube that we sell is a small tube, just like this. It comes with a little nozzle. You can unscrew it. It's got it's sealed from the factory, so on the end is a dot there. You just press on that to bust the little metal seal there, and then you screw this on just like so. Here's where your knife comes in handy. So you're going to just cut a little 45 so you can get the adhesive to come out. That's not a very big hole at all because you don't need a lot for most of these small items. Now I will use this bigger tube that we've got because we go through so much of it. But if you see on this side, or on the tip there, we got it cut at a 45. And it's, again, real small hole that the adhesive can come out. So it's kind of pick a side. It doesn't really matter left, right, top, bottom, just so you go in a order that you can remember what you've gotten. I'm going to start over here on my left, which would be your right, I believe. Now, I talked earlier on the coins that we don't glue them directly to the background. We will cut a small hole where those go. Just a small little square hole to put in here. Now I will mark where each one of these coming off. So either by the corner of the marker, or if I put a mark in the middle, However, just so I know exactly where that is going to go, where that item is going to go back. So I'm going to right in the middle there. So I have my little X-Acto knife. I'm just going to cut a small little square. So that I can see the backboard. So now we will get our adhesive, just a small little bit there. Bring the camera over here so you can see just how small that is. And then we'll set that coin right back down onto it. Just like so. Now we get it lined up, make sure it's square and level. A lot of coins, it's kind of hard to find where's the bottom, where's the top on these. So like that one there, so you got to look on there for, got some stars on that one. That would be your level mark. So we know it's coming from right there. So right there's where I'm going to need to cut my fabric out. And this is a craft felt that we use. You can get it at any of your hobby stores. So if you were to make a mistake or needed to change the colors of it, if we didn't have that color, then you can get it at any of the hobby stores. I believe it's about time to change the blade on this one. That's very hard to get. And again, I've got this corner here, and that's the bottom edge of the coin. So we'll go back down to this bottom one, and we'll repeat the same thing. So a little pea-size bit of the adhesive right there. And then just push it down. Now if you were to get some squeeze out around the edges of any of these, let it dry. Do not try to take care of it when it's wet. You will make a bigger mess than it's worth, because the next day, or probably about 4 hours after this, after you put the adhesive down, you're able to come back and do any trimming around there. So you'll let it dry and then come back with an X-Acto knife and trim around it. Because if you try to clean it up when it's wet, it will smear and you will have the adhesive all over the background. So there we go. There's those 4 coins right there. Now these badges, or excuse me, the patches, they've got Velcro on them. but I'll peel back a little bit. You can see how it's sticking on there. I'll still put a little bit down the middle. Make sure it's lined up straight. And then push down. If you give it a little back and forth motion right there, then those little hooks will grab into the background and it's not going to come out. So again, just a little bit around on the back side there. Now these sometimes are a little tricky to make sure you got them all lined up, but just take your time. Again, we'll be using this as a mark for the corner on this stripe. So on these stripes, before I put them back on, I'll take a cloth, just a cotton cloth there, just kind of buff them out, making sure that, you know, if there's any fingerprints on there, that they're cleared off, and trying not to touch them as much when you're putting them back down. Now if you see on here, I've put a small little dab of the silicone right in the middle of that, and that'll be enough to hold it. Doesn't look like a lot, but once this stuff dries, it's going to stay. So now, remember what I said, if you get a little bit too much on there, then you'll have a little squeeze out. So just a tad bit. There you go. There's that one down. All right. Now the second one. And again, cleaning that off, kind of polishing it up. And again, just a little bit on there. That might be just a little too much. So we just have to be careful when we push it in, or set it on there, that we don't push it down too much. And it's not the end of the world if you get a little squeeze out. You just, like I said, let it dry. You know what I didn't do? Didn't clean it off. So I'm always marking where I pull my items from. That way there's no guessing, especially if you've taken your time to do this, the initial setup and everything. You know, you don't want anything to move on you. Okay, so now get the last one of those, and I will go back and I will make sure that everything is straight where they need to be. It's sometimes difficult because you're going off of this 45 degrees here, and then these are up and down, and they might get a little bit tweaked a little bit here. So now's the perfect time to make sure that everything is lined up the way you're wanting it to be, because this stuff does give a little bit of time for you to be able to move it around a little bit. So now if you're happy with that, sometimes I'll take a look from different angle. I'll come around to the other side and take a look at it. So now I'm going to come back up here to the top. Now with these functional badges, they really don't need to be cut behind there to glue. Now these are a little bigger, so I'll put 2 dabs right where the pins were. Put a little dab there. Put one in the middle if you like. Just got to make sure that it doesn't squeeze out any of the openings. And we'll go with a little dab there. So, just like that. Ooh, that's another thing I was just getting ready to say. Make sure when you're turning it over, before you put it back down on the your backboard there, that you pull it off to the side, so in case it does fall and it does land down upside down to where, or if it landed upside down, that'd be great, but normally it will land down to where the adhesive gets onto the background. So trying to keep from that happening. Okay, now this one, where the point comes down on the badge, where it comes down to the tip there, that's going to be the middle of these 2 ribbons here. So that way I'm not marking this one, but I do know where that one's going to be. Now for this, I'll put some in the middle of this one. I won't go on either side. If you need to, you can, but just go sparingly on that. That way it doesn't squeeze out on you. Okay, now I'm making sure my distance on these 2 are even. I know that we don't have our military spacing on these because this is such a compressed area here. So there's no regulations on retirement shadow boxes in my opinion. So I always like to make sure everything is as complete as it can be and it's as correct as possible, but sometimes you gotta just fudge it a little. So here I'm marking my edge here so I know where it goes back to. Now here you can just kind of do a little circle around. Don't go too close to the edges because of squeeze out, just in case. Okay, now I'm making sure where the V comes down is right on the crease of these 2 ribbons. Come down just a little. There you go. Now, something like this, I'll make sure that we are even the top over, and that's why I like to have these little rulers. So if you've got a little ruler that is at the house or something, you can use that. So now I know exactly that they are both equal, so that'll make it nice and level. All right, then I'll continue on here, finishing these others up. So we'll do some fast forward motion so you don't have to sit and watch forever here on these. All right, now for name tags, making sure they're straight. A lot of times I don't pick them all the way up. I just pick up either from the top or the bottom, and then I can put a little bit of adhesive on the back side, and then lay it back down. And that is good there. And then we'll do that one again, do that for the same way on this other one. Just rolling it up. Usually a little pea-sized dab. roll it back. Just like so. Now we'll move on to the rest of the patches. And again, just a little bit down the back, the middle. Making sure that they are all push back down into the fabric. That way they're not coming out. All right. Now, I believe we've got them all laid out. What I will do is I will kind of give it a, usually most backboard, I'll give them kind of a quick little stand up. If anything falls off, then I forgot to put the glue on that one. So these all look like they are done. Oh, see, there we go. That moved on us, didn't it? When I picked it up, because these are pretty heavy. So making sure that we are all lined up good. These bigger coins get heavy. So then before you're done, just give it one last check, because once this stuff dries, it's going to take quite a bit to get it off. You're going to have to cut it out with an X-Acto knife. So it appears everything looks in order. I don't like the way that senior airman stripe is sitting. I will take a look at that here in just a minute. Those are all good there. That AMC coin is a little bit too close to the flag divider, so I will move that again. So as you can tell, it moved some on us. It moved quite a bit there, didn't it? So, got our spacing on those. And then again, I said this one was a little bit off. So we make sure that that one is good. It's lined up, and it should be good. So now we'll let it set for minimum of 4 hours before we go and clean it up to button the to put the back on the shadow box itself. So the next part you'll see will be cleaning up the backboard and putting the display all together.
All right, now after everything is dried, the glue is all cured and everything, I usually go back and I will find a cloth again, like I done wiping them down. But since they're all dry, you can now come back across and just clean any fingerprints or smudges off of any of the shiny items. Then looking for any glue squeeze out that you had on any of these. Everything looks good. There's no squeeze out or anything. Sometimes you'll need a pair of tweezers to get any little pieces of, in this case, a piece of sawdust off of it. If you have a compressed air, a little can of compressed air, you can get some of the stuff off. But what I find works really well is coming back to a piece of masking tape. Painter's tape works too. Just cut a little piece off there, and then just set there, and you'll pick up all the little pieces that are pieces of lint, pieces of little stuff that's on there that you don't want. Probably hard to see in the video because you're a little bit away, but this is picking up all the little stuff. Okay, now I'm going to set this to the side. We're going to work on the shadow box itself. So the inside of it, you want to get Windex and clean the glass really good. Now, I've got compressed air here at the shop, so I'm able to blow everything out to get the big stuff out. So you just want to be careful that you don't have anything left inside the shadow box that could get on the backboard at a later time. So cleaning the glass really good. Now, one thing is, if you're going to use cheaper towels, they will leave a lot of lint on the glass. So if you do use those, make sure you wipe down to the bottom of the shadow box, like in a corner, to where nothing's going to be seen if there's any lint left in there. And then don't forget the flag area as well. So cleaning it real well, making sure all of the smudges, smears, everything is off of the glass and outside of the shadow box. So taking care of that way you don't have to get it all together and then see it, and then you have to come back in and pull the backboard off and clean the glass again. I think I've got some stuff on the outside of the box as well. I'll clean that right now. That way I know that it is all off. And what I thought was on the outside is actually on the inside. And this causes you more problems because you want to get these to where they're going to present very nicely for yourself or for whoever you're doing this for. Because these shadow boxes represent years of hard work and dedication that the individual has given. So you want to treat it with the utmost respect. Now we'll come in and we'll put the backboard in. And what I do is I will take a look, see if I can see anything on the inside that's not lined up. It should be lined up by now. But anything that is problematic, anything that's showing on the glass. So when that's all done, we will button it up. Screwdriver works well. If you have a screw gun, makes it just a little quicker, but screwdriver works just fine. All right, so now we're ready to put the flag into the box. All right, now when it comes time to putting the flag in, I'm going to go over just a few things that I've discovered over the last probably 20 years of putting shadow boxes together. You normally get the flag. It's folded traditionally like this. It works great. You can set it right in. It fits right into the shadow box. Sometimes there's a little bit of room left, left or right. But as you see, the stars are not going to line up perfectly. There's debate. Some people are, this is the way it has to be folded. It's encased. I see it a little different. No disrespect to anybody's beliefs on the flags or flag etiquette, but the way I think of it, as this is going to be encased probably forever, and you want it to present very nicely, be very respectful to the flag. You get the flag, from say the Capitol or White House, and it's in a box. It comes out and it's given to you like this. Now to put it into the shadow box, you've got your front side of the flag, and then you have the reverse side of your flag. If it is traditionally folded, when they fold up the sides and leave the union showing, it's usually the back side of the union. Usually, I don't think I've ever seen it to where when the honor guard was folding the flag that they folded it to where the front side of the flag showed. Now, if you take a look, you can see the stars on the front side of the flag. The sewn stars are a little different on the back side. So you can kind of see that star there compared to the front side. And that's because that's the back side of the flag. When it's sewn, um, it it's just not as pretty and doesn't show as well. So I will always make sure that the front side of the flag is showing. And the way we will do it here, whenever we send a shadow box out, we send it out with these instructions. Now you see there the triangle. We have one that's more of a diamond shape, so there's a sample how to fold around that. So I will lay it out onto the table and then fold the cardboard around the flag union. You can see that real well there. So how we end up doing that is you got your cardboard piece, your template, that fits right inside. You've got just a little bit of room for your material, so it will keep that union nice and flat inside there, and your stars will line up perfectly. Now, the way we do that is you will open the flag up and take a look. You will be aligning with the bottom row. So you're going to want not the first star that's the closest to the hem, but the next one. That's going to be the star that's shown. So you're going to use these 6 stars here. That's what's going to be seen. So it's going to look something like that right there. So this will go around on the back side. And then you can fold the flag around. Now sometimes you have to get a little closer to the bottom to be able to get those stars lined on, and it's going to take a little bit of practice to be able to get that lined up. But once you do, you'll be able to put that in really easy. So as you can see right there. And that's going to show very nicely in the shadow box for many years to come. All right, now this customer wanted to put his dog tags in the shadow box in the flag area. So how we do that is we will take, and I'll leave the chain on for this, the long chain. So we take that, fold that over like so, and then we will set the bottom edge down. Kind of have to do this with the dog tags in there first. Looking to make sure they're going to be in the middle, lined up really nice. Separating your chain a little. This is a little bit more tricky, more of the advanced side of Shadowbox, more of a Shadowbox 301 than a 101 class. So right here, then we will start gently folding the rest of it in there. Now I'll fold a little bit in there because what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip the shadow box up and take a look at the stars from the front side. Because I want the stars to look nice, and also I want the dog tags to not cover as much of the stars as possible. And I see that this one is covering some of it. I see that the dog tags are covering a little bit of the star, a little bit more than I want. So I'm going to move them up just a little bit, just like so. Again, getting that dog chain to come across to split the top. I'm going to take a peek again. That's not too bad. Kind of splitting those stars there. I think it will work. So, for the flag, try and get it to where it's folded, and then we can fold it up like so, and then fold it over. So now we have a little bit of a triangle going there. If you have enough room here, I should say. So then you can kind of fold it over. And this by no means is any disrespect to the flag. It's, in my opinion, and this, my opinion, some people don't like it. You know, that's why that's why we're in the country we're in, is because we can debate things. But when it's all said and done, the flag will present beautifully. Take a look at it again. Looks pretty good, almost even everywhere around. So now we can take and put the back on there. So the flag lined up. The glass is nice and clean. It's a little bit shiny there with the lights shining on there. But that right there is the final setup for your shadow box. So if you have any questions, you can let us know. Our website will be in the comment section down in the description. So if you have any questions on shadow box setups or any kind of shadow box questions, please let us know. But I believe this will kind of wrap this episode up in this little series. So thank you for watching, and leave us a thumbs up if you don't mind in the bottom, and we will see you later. Bye.